welcome to One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the new off-Broadway play, My First Ex-Husband, written by Joy Behar, directed by Randal, Myler, and running through May 18th at MMAC Theater at 248 West 60th Street in New York City. We all make bad choices. Don't let avoiding my Patreon page be one of them. Come on over where you can for as little as $1 a month. Support my work here and my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. Patrons get early access to the latest episode and quick reviews of shows that will be reviewed here. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. Links to my Patreon and podcast pages will be in the description. Here you go, people. The last New York City review of the season, and frankly, it could have been better. A collection of monologues performed by 4 women, My First Ex-Husband feels to have been written more like a stand-up act than monologues to be performed as dramatic readings. There are 8 stories in total, running about 90 minutes, with each actress performing 2 of them, except that the day that I was in attendance, Marsha Mason was out, and the understudy, Lana Young, filled in, performing only 1 of the monologues instead of 2. It's kind of funny, because of the 4 women, Young, Julia Sweeney, Benja K. Thomas, and Marilu Henner, it was the understudy, Young, who gave the best performance. It happens that way sometimes. Give an understudy half a chance, which is literally what Young got, and they can run away with the show. The concept of My First Ex-Husband, presented by Joy Behar in a video at the top of the show, is that she interviewed a number of women, talking to them about what their first marriages were like. She changes the names and details that would identify the women and turned their stories into monologues. Conceptually, this seems appealing and potentially hilarious, and in its substance, there is the foundation of something compelling. The stories are frank, sometimes subtly subversive, and of reasonable length. It's not that a woman who discovers she's married a crossdresser or a woman who starts an affair with a far more attentive lover on the other side of the country isn't interesting. They can be. And frankly, those were the 2 that stood out to me the most. The problem is one of 2 things. Either Behar tried too hard to stick to the women's voice, that she doesn't completely turn the stories from awkward testimonials into meticulously constructed monologues based on the stories, or she wrote it as she would a stand-up performance, which is kind of her bread and butter. Either way, the writing creates an awkward pacing of the text that feels not entirely processed in its writing. It's not that the stories shouldn't be told as testimonials. I don't mind that aspect. It's more that it feels like stories that are being told off the cuff by women who aren't experienced telling stories in front of a large audience, which makes everything feel awkward and clunky. Now, this may in part be due to this being a second cast. There were 2 casts planned, with the current cast performing from April 23rd to May 18th. The first cast, featuring Vianne Cox, Jackie Hoffman, Carolyn McCormick, and Andrea Navedo, ran from March 26th to April 20th. Splitting the cast shouldn't have been an issue, as these are professionals, and I expect that they committed to the work as much as would be expected. Plus, there's only 1 weekend left, so I think the problem lies within the writing itself and making the characters a bit more compelling than they are, versus the actors being any fault in this process. So, My First Ex-Husband was a bit of a disappointment. The performances were overall decent, with a standout by Laila Young, but the stories were mostly underwhelming, as the stories felt like they needed a bit more refining. Anyway, on to a bit of bonus material here for you. I saw O Mary this weekend. This is not an official review of O Mary, as I wasn't invited to review the show for Broadway. As an outer critic and drama desk member, I was invited to review it when it was off-Broadway, but due to the insane schedule that is the critic's life in the months of March and April, I wasn't able to fit it into my schedule. Alas, it won a bunch of Outer Critics Circle Awards and Drama Desk Awards. Then it opened on Broadway, and we were never invited back to review it after the transfer. It's how it goes sometimes. So I paid out of pocket to see it Saturday, and with the Tonys coming up, I figured I'd give you at least a few thoughts on the show. In short, I really liked it. Cole Escala, who is back for a limited time as Mary Todd Lincoln, is hilarious and is the whole reason to see the show. Everything that they do in the role of Mary Todd is brilliantly detailed and characterized. Conrad Ricamora was also hysterical as Mary's husband, whom you would know as Abraham Lincoln. I can be a bit finicky about revisionist history. I get concerned about people watching something like this and believing that this is historically accurate, but let's be honest. If you think this is how things were in the waning days of the Lincoln White House, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. It's broad satire, and it should be accepted as such. Mary gets acting lessons from John Wilkes Booth, for crying out loud, in the Oval Office even. So yeah, don't take it as gospel and don't take it too seriously. It's not supposed to be. John Wilkes Booth is credited as Mary's teacher, by the way, with James Scully currently in the role, which he was great. Personally, I didn't find it as funny as others I've spoken to or as the bulk of the audience found it to be when I was in attendance, and that's okay. My problem with the humor is that it's basically the same two jokes for about 90 minutes, just presented in different ways. One, Mary is a crazed alcoholic who wants to be a cabaret star, and two, her husband is a closeted homosexual. Pretty much all the humor revolves around those 2 points, which I was with for about 30 minutes, but it doesn't evolve too much beyond that, except to play with history to subvert expectations, with a rather hysterically shocking ending, which I liked. I thought that was really pretty funny. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a good show, it is funny, but I just wanted more. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see My First Ex-Husband, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. I'll leave a link for Oh Mary in there as well. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon and podcast pages and my social media handles where you can support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this review, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Long Wharf Theater's production of Unbecoming Tragedy. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.